Alexander Thorne had everything money could buy, mansions spread across continents, cars that looked like moving art, and a business empire people worshipped, but there was one thing he had never known: love. Since childhood, people flinched when they saw his face. A rare condition had left his features uneven, harsh, intimidating, and the world never let him forget it. Women he dated looked at his bank account, never at him. Business partners praised his intelligence, not his presence. Society whispered behind his back, calling him the ugly millionaire, and though he pretended it didn't matter, the cruel words carved scars deeper than the ones on his skin. One snowy December night, after being humiliated at yet another high society gathering, where the woman he hoped to propose to publicly rejected him with a mocking laugh, Alexander stormed out into the cold, desperate to escape the noise of judgment and pity. He returned earlier than usual to his mansion, expecting emptiness, but instead found Maria, his new maid, gently humming a lullaby to her infant son as she cleaned the kitchen floors. She didn't notice him at first, and Alexander stood silently, watching the warmth in her eyes, something he had never seen directed at him. When she finally did look up, she didn't flinch, didn't stare, didn't look away. She simply smiled and said softly, "Long day, sir." It startled him. No one ever spoke to him like he was human. Her baby, a chubby little boy with curious eyes, stretched his arms toward Alexander as if begging to be held. For the first time in years, Alexander felt something soften inside him. Almost awkwardly, he asked if he could hold the child. Maria nodded with a gentle trust that nearly brought him to tears. As Alexander cradled the baby, he whispered, "Why doesn't he fear me like everyone else?" Maria responded, "Because he sees hearts, not faces. Babies don't know cruelty, only truth." That night, Alexander found himself sitting on the kitchen floor beside Maria, talking to her in a way he had never talked to anyone. She told him about her struggles, her husband abandoning her, her fight to protect her child, her fear of being fired, her dreams of giving her son a better future. Alexander listened, truly listened. Something in her honesty touched a part of him long buried beneath years of rejection. Days turned into weeks, and Alexander found excuses to be around her, helping carry groceries, fixing small things around the mansion just to hear the sound of her voice. Rumors soon spread among the staff. The ugly millionaire was smiling again. But the world outside wasn't ready to accept the idea of an unpolished maid and a billionaire sharing the same air. When Maria accompanied him to a charity event as part of his staff, people sneered. Whispered insults followed them like shadows. One woman, the same who had rejected Alexander, smirked and said loudly, "Careful, Maria, don't stand too close. You might start to look like him." Maria's face burned with humiliation, but Alexander reached for her hand and said quietly, "Let's leave. They're not worth a single second of your tears." As they walked out, Maria's baby, who had been resting in her arms, stirred awake. He turned his head toward Alexander, looked straight into his weary eyes, and in a soft, clear voice spoke his very first word, "Dada." The entire room froze. Maria gasped. Alexander felt the world tilt under his feet. The baby reached for him again, repeating louder, "Dada." It wasn't just a word, it was acceptance, belonging, a miracle wrapped in innocence. The guests who had laughed moments before fell silent, stunned by the impossible. Tears streamed down Alexander's face as he gently lifted the baby into his arms. Maria's eyes filled with emotion, not embarrassment this time, but something deeper, something like destiny unfolding in front of them. I don't know why he said that," she whispered. Alexander held the baby close and said, "Maybe because he sees me as someone worth loving, something I never believed I could be." From that night, the world's cruel nickname no longer mattered. Alexander was no longer the ugly millionaire. He was a man rebuilding his heart piece by piece, with a maid who saw beauty where others saw flaws, and a child who healed wounds no doctor ever could. Love did not enter his life through admiration or glamour, it walked in barefoot, carrying a baby and wearing a humble uniform. And as the snow fell quietly outside the mansion, Alexander promised himself one thing: Never again would he measure his worth through the eyes of those who only saw the surface. He had finally found his family, the kind he didn't buy with riches but earned with kindness, humility, and the courage to open his heart. And to anyone watching this story unfold, remember, miracles sometimes whisper before they roar. So if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful and emotional stories that touch the heart and remind us all what truly matters.